All right, we are back in the afternoon, day 3, Augmented World Expo. So, next up, we are keeping things going strong with a panel on how emotion AI is unlocking the power of trust and judgment. I'm personally very interested in this because I know in real estate, emotion, avatars, things like that are super crucial, as obviously in the real world. But you know, interested to hear you know, from the AR VR mixed reality perspective. And with that, we'll bring up Umesh Sachdev of Uniphore.
All right, it's great to be here. It's great to be with you all. My first time at AWE, and I could not be more excited to talk to you about emotion AI. But first, I want to start with a personal story, a short personal story. You know, last year, my family and I, we moved into a new neighborhood here in the Bay Area. And to celebrate the new house this spring, we had a housewarming party to call our friends and our neighbors to celebrate the occasion. And it was an exciting time for my family, but especially for my 8-year-old daughter, it was a particularly exciting day. The house was decorated, was buzzing with energy. And as part of the food menu, we had lots of treats for kids. So we had some candies, and we had cookies, cakes, and even ice cream. And for her, this was only second to being allowed to be beyond her bedtime and watching Harry Potter movies. So my wife and I, as the party got started, we told her that she and her friends for the evening were allowed to run around and eat as they please. And middle of the party, I wanted to check in with her, and I was expecting to find my daughter with a huge sugar high, probably worse still, sidelined with a sore stomach. But to my surprise, when I met her, she said even though she wanted to have more cookies, she stopped herself because she realized that overeating them would make her fall sick. That was a moment where she practiced judgment, good judgment. And this is a unique ability that we human beings have, but AI, not yet. And the reason humans have this ability to create judgment, to pass judgment, is because we have the gift of when we communicate with each other, we are able to add emotion to that communication. So beyond words, as we communicate with each other as human beings, we are able to bring in changes in our tone, which communicates emotion and meaning, gestures, body language, facial emotion, eye roll even. And so coming back to the story, when my wife and I were telling my daughter that she could have as much food as she liked, she was able to filter the understanding of our direction by the emotional connection that she subconsciously has formed with her parents. Emotions is what lets us human beings connect with each other and even form a bond of trust. And right now, as we are going through a major technology transition in different industries, and this one is led by generative AI, where every business, every field, different parts of the technology spectrum are thinking through the opportunity of how many applications of generative AI can they bring into their business. Generative AI is not going to be enough for businesses and applications to unlock the full power of AI within their environments. For that to happen, AI will have to develop a full understanding of how we as human beings communicate with each other. And it's not just words. We communicate with words and emotions together.
Italiano, it's come from Italy. Different voice. Yeah. Loud. Yeah.
Oh, no, you're grounded. You're grounded until you graduate. My team, last time, Messi, at the middle of the pitch, he has the ball, you stay in front of the defense.
My son now always tells me, I love you, Mama. But for 48 years, you realize I didn't say I love you to my mom.
And so as I was mentioning, beyond words, the human communication has many different aspects to it, which includes intonation, which includes using our tonal variations, facial emotions, and that video clip was a perfect example of that. And so when I founded my company, Uniphore, 15 years ago, what I set out to develop was first a speech recognition technology, because I wanted to help poor people in India at the base of the pyramid connect to the internet. And my hypothesis was that they wouldn't be able to connect to the internet because it's hard for them to go up to a computer, open the browser. That's a certain level of literacy, which 800 million people are not going to have. So I wanted to bridge this digital divide with speech recognition and allowing them to communicate with the machine in a language of their choosing and using just their voice. But as we went on in the journey, I realized that it's not enough for the machine to understand the words that are being spoken by the user in any domain, in any application, unless we capture the other forms of human communication. And in that case, I next looked at tonal variation as a way to enlarge the understanding and the meaning that the user had to give inputs. And so as we developed that technology, we not only found applications in business, but specifically in areas like contact centers and call centers, where there are millions of people today working really hard every day, receiving calls from all of us, trying to address our queries, trying to get the answers, etc. And so our technology, Uniphore's artificial intelligence, now sits as a co-pilot next to those millions of call center agents, helping them be better at their job. And as the pandemic happened, as businesses moved to doing more meetings over video channels, not just phone, like Zoom and WebEx and Teams, we realized that the additional element of facial emotion using computer vision was equally important for us. Let's just think about the power we all have in this room. You're listening to the words that I'm speaking. You're able to watch me. You're able to get a sense of the feeling in this room. There is just tremendous amount of information that I'm communicating beyond my words. And that is the power of emotion AI. And so, I hope you're beginning to recognize that for the full understanding of AI for human communication, it's really important for the computer machine to understand our emotions as well. And that is where emotion AI comes in. Uniphore's technology stack for several years have now been very rich with using several forms of AI, including generative AI. But like I said, that's not enough for us to deliver value in different business applications that we've been using it. And so several years ago, we started our R&D efforts in the area of emotion AI. We then figured out ways to fuse voice AI, emotion AI, and knowledge AI as single models, where in real time, when the machine is trying to listen to or understand a conversation, it's able to take multiple signals and put weights on them. We've been constantly investing. We have several PhDs and researchers in the company in this space. And then, more recently, we started incorporating emotion AI into our products and deliver value to several different enterprises. And as a founder of an AI company, I'm particularly excited about the research that my company does in the area of emotion AI. And here's why. Emotion AI is that science of artificial intelligence that deals with machines learning to understand tonal variations, facial emotions, gestures, even sentiment that are communicated sometimes with words, but mostly without. And combined with business application, this can be very accretive to businesses because this helps them understand more about the users, the consumers, and their employees. Let's take an example of a sentence that I'm going to speak right now. And the sentence is, would you recommend this program for the company? And now let's experiment with putting stress on different word in the same sentence, and hopefully you'll see it changes meaning. So I'm going to start with the first one again. Would you recommend this program for the company? I'll say the second one. Would you recommend this program for the company? And now let's try a third variation. Would you recommend this program for the company? So just by changing where we as human beings are putting stress on different words with the exact same sentence, the sentence is changing its meaning. So imagine the complexity that we as human beings go through, and we take it for granted with our communication. There are over 6,000 languages in the world, hundreds of thousands of dialects. On top of that, in our communication, we have grammar, we have intonation, we have pauses. And then we have emotions and intent. And for AI to capture all of this is truly complex. But it's only when AI unlocks that full value that it gains the full understanding of this conversation. Next slide, please. As I think about the different business applications, the true power of emotion AI is in allowing businesses to get great understanding of their consumers, users, and employees. Imagine some use cases. Imagine you're a seller in a business who's now trying to prospect customers over video calls. You're meeting a new customer on a video meeting, and they bring in a group of 8 or 9 participants who are now merely small boxes on your gallery screen, whereas the main screen is occupied by the pitch deck, and your main focus is perfecting the pitch deck. In the physical world, we all have the ability to read the room as we are pitching, as we are speaking, recognizing the reaction of people and adjusting in real time. That's how human cognition works. But how do you do that on a video meeting? With emotion AI being a co-pilot, an assistant next to the employee, it now can give it real-time cues. While the employee is focused on perfecting the pitch, emotion AI can be giving inputs on the level of engagement or satisfaction of the audience and allowing the speaker to adjust the pitch. Now let's take a different example. Imagine you're running human resources in a large company with a large team, and you call a company town hall, an all-hands meeting. Most human resources leaders are very concerned about, is the message landing the right way? Are the employees understanding the key message? And so doing this on a hybrid way with employees being in different parts of the world, hundreds and thousands of employees, emotion AI can give real-time input on the level of understanding, engagement, and sentiment of the audience, such that the leaders who are speaking on the meeting can adjust their message in real time. That's true power. In the area of healthcare, telehealth, telemedicine is one very powerful use case, where now in real time, doctors can get signals about the patient's mental health as the consultation is occurring, giving the doctors a chance to adjust to the comfort of the patient. We've seen use cases in education where today it's happening, it's possible that a teacher is able to teach kids in many different countries on a virtual classroom. But yet again, like the salesperson, the teacher has the challenge of pitch deck being in the middle, many students being small windows in a gallery view, and teacher wanting to know, are the students being confused with my subject matter? Are they attentive? Is this landing well? And emotion AI is that field of AI which can give real-time inputs on these use cases. And these are just some examples. So emotion AI is truly the ability for humans and AI to develop deeper connections. And it's these connections that ultimately help us form trust with each other, but also trusting the technology. But I will say, Today, as AI is becoming more a part of our life in many different ways, we have ways to go before we develop trust in this technology. So where are we going with this, with generative AI, et cetera? Today, there's tremendous power in the innovation of generative AI, and we are all beginning to experience this in several different ways. There are things like AutoGPT, which today I can task it to really help me with tasks like find me a restaurant for a date for me and my wife next week in a certain location, and here's my budget. Generative AI and AutoGPT has the ability to figure out how will it run the search, how will it narrow down the right option for me, how will it make an email request, possibly even complete the reservation, and get to a point where it's really being assisting me in these very useful tasks. So those are examples where generative AI is being tremendously helpful to us human beings. But imagine the same technology, the same AutoGPT, now being tasked by a nefarious actor, and instead of asking to find restaurants, is asked to do something that could hurt or harm some individuals or groups. The reality is today, generative AI is not sentient. It does not decipher between good and bad. It's a relentless task machine which will not stop until it finishes the task it's programmed to do. And this will have to change. This will have to change for businesses to truly embrace AI in mission-critical workflows. Now, in the meantime, AI has a lot to learn, but we are starting with getting the AI to learn human emotions at the moment with Emotion AI, and then with the concept of generative AI, possibly in the near future, we can get the AI to start generating emotions of its own. And through that process, we can get it one step closer to developing the ability to decipher between what's good, what's bad, to develop early forms of judgment, and possibly even what's a lot of cookies versus not so much. And so I want to leave you with some key takeaways here. Emotion AI sits next to generative AI in several business applications today, adding beyond words the ability of AI to take in signals from tone, gestures, facial emotion, and really unlock tremendous value in business apps, which ultimately help us humans develop deeper connections and trust with AI. But going back to my story, just like my daughter, my wife and I did not for a minute doubt what she was telling us. The pride in her voice told us that she's not lying. But what she did not tell us, that her friend, though, had not been as judicious, and she had overeaten the cookies and ended up with a sore stomach. So, lesson learned for future parties, even though we'll still let the kids have fun, we'll add more parental supervision. Much like AI, which is becoming a bigger part of our lives, AI will continuously learn more about humans from humans. So we, you and I, will always be a part of this equation, supervising, if you will, this AI, which is becoming a co-pilot, a coach, an assistant in the way we work, and possibly the way we play even. So thank you. That's my talk. We can take questions now.
Thank you for the talk. Is your company providing some kind of services on emotional AI, so in forms of API, products, etc.?
That's right. You can get in touch with us. We call the whole API framework a Q family of products because we think it's giving real-time cues on emotions. So you can get in touch with us, and we have APIs for our emotion algorithms.
Thank you.
Hi, Dr. Andy Clayton from Air University at Maxwell Air Force Base. So at Air University, we use avatars for our airmen to practice human-to-human conversations, because that's mostly what leadership is that interaction between two people. But we use a live person, a trained actor, to digitally puppeteer that avatar, so they have that human-to-human interaction. Will the future then allow with AI emotion to go from the individual controlling that avatar to that AI to still get to that same suspension of disbelief, to have that human-to-human simulation conversation, to practice emotional intelligence, empathy, accountability, decision-making, all those leadership human domain skills?
Well, first of all, I love what you guys are doing at the university. That's really brilliant in a way of bringing humans to multiply the knowledge that technology can be applied in different places. But if you think about the way generative AI came about, it was a large language model, which meant that over years, researchers were assimilating data on languages, sentences, meanings, etc., and then ultimately training these models to understand when it encounters a sentence or a word, what does it mean? Emotion AI is doing the same thing by assimilating data across human emotions. Like I said, tonal changes, facial expressions, gestures, body language, etc. And all of us in the field are at that stage where generative AI probably was a couple of years ago, where you have now, instead of large language models, some early models on emotion AI. And we're close enough for this to reach the same level of proficiency of a GPT, what it did to words, where you will have a GPT for emotions shortly. And then generative AI can start to generate emotions from the machine. So I would say it's not sci-fi, it's reality, and we are very close to it. Well, I want to thank you all, and I'll be outside if there are more questions that pop up. Thank you.